Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down. Before you feed your rares, before you empower your epics or your legendaries, make sure that you watch this video because there are tons of champions in this game that are more valuable to have multiple copies of rather than empowering for that tiny stat boost. All right, guys, I've been playing Raid Shadow Legends for quite a long time, and there are tons of rares, epics, and legendaries that are more valuable to have multiple copies of than just feeding them and getting a little stat bonus or progressing through like a champion training event. So I wanted to go over some of those champions today. That way, if you're struggling in a certain part of the game where these champions are useful, maybe you can build a second one to beat that piece of content instead of just sacrificing them. So we're gonna start with rares, then we'll go to epics, then we'll go to legendaries. And it is worth mentioning, if you have mythicals, in my opinion, just keep the second copy of the mythical unless you're really endgame and that empowerment matters. But I'm gonna imagine that about 99.9% of you guys do not have any duplicate mythicals, so those will not be part of this video. So the very first rare that is worth building multiple copies of on this list is going to be Coldheart. Now, why is Coldheart worth building multiple copies of? Well, first of all, her A3 is an insanely high damage attack. It's based on enemy max HP. So typically you smack a boss with this, you're gonna do 10% of their max HP at higher levels where it is capped at 10%. Typically I've seen her used in like spider speed teams, spamming this A3 against the boss, dropping the turn meter, smacking the boss extremely hard, making for a really good spider speed team with multiple Coldhearts. And also I have seen her run it in like Fire Knight speed teams. She'll open with this A1, both of the Coldhearts will. They'll break 8 pieces of the shield. You'll have some other champions come in there, break the rest of the shield, and then they'll come in there and both smack their Heartseeker, dropping that boss's turn meter and hitting extremely hard. So Coldheart, definitely worth building multiple copies of if you're struggling in the Spider or the Fire Knight, or if you just want like a speed team for those dungeons. The next one on this list is actually Painkeeper. These Dark Elves Void rares, they don't make them like they used to, man. These are really good champions. So where do I see multiple Painkeepers being used? Well, it's typically in like an Iron Twins budget stage 15 team. So typically what you'll do is you'll have 3 Painkeepers. They don't need to be level 60, but they do need to be speed tuned, so they need to have the right speed. They will need this A3 booked, that way they can constantly spam this decreased cooldown. And then what you'll have is you'll have 3 Painkeepers, you'll have a block damage champion like Roshguard, Helicath, Alsgore, and then you'll have a damage dealer like Geomancer or Gnut or Marius. And basically what's going to happen in this fight is that your damage dealer is just going to spam their damage dealing skill, your block damage champion is going to spam block damage the entire fight, and then your Painkeepers are going to constantly spam this A3 and it needs to be booked. That way everybody just constantly has their skill cooldowns refreshed and is spamming the most valuable skills. And even though after you book this, it's on a 3-turn cooldown, keep in mind that you have 3 Painkeepers, so all 3 Painkeepers are going to reset this by 1 turn each, meaning that once you actually take your extra turn, there's your 4th turn, so you're always going to be able to spam this ability. All right, and that's going to do it for the rares. Let's move on to the epics. But before we get too deep in the video, guys, if you are new to Raid Shadow Legends and want to start your first account or you want to start your second account, we have literally the best starter link on the internet. There is nothing out there that beats it. You're going to get an extremely powerful hard carry early on in Karato Fox Hunter. This guy is just going to mop the floor with the early game, meaning that as soon as you start your account, you got nothing to worry about. This guy is going to carry you extremely hard, as well as he always will have a place in your account even as you progress through the game in areas like Faction Wars, Curse City, Doom Tower Secret Rooms, Arena. This guy is always going to have a place on your account, so he is a fantastic legendary to get you started off in your raid adventure, as well as you will get 3 fantastic epics to go along with him as you level up. So there is literally no better time to start playing Raid Shadow Legends than now. This will be the most supercharged start that you can possibly have in Raid Shadow Legends, and it will be smooth sailing through that early game. So if that interests you, make sure you hit that link in the top of the description or the pinned comment. Let's get back to the video. The very first epic on this list is going to be one of the best epics in the game, probably top 5, top 10. It's going to be Uugo. Now, why Uugo? Well, simply this decreased defense and block buffs is just so valuable for places like Hydra. If you're kind of mid-game and don't have other block buffs options, building 2 Ugos, one for one Hydra team, one for the other Hydra team, can be extremely valuable just because block buffs is so important for the Hydra, as well as the decreased defense, so you just hit so much harder. Not to mention, she's also a decent healer on this A3. The next epic on our list is going to be Inquisitor Shamael. Now, why Inquisitor Shamael? It's going to be Hydra again, specifically on rotations that have the head of Torment. He's going to be really good. He just cleanses that fear with this passive and boosts the turn meter of your champion in the leader position or the aura position. So actually, you really like it when you see the head of Torment and you have Inquisitor Shamael, because actually it's just a boost to your team. That's like the one Hydra head that is actually helping your team when he places the fears. Kind of funny. So having 2 or even 3 Inquisitor Shamaels for those specific rotations is extremely useful. The next epic that's worth building multiple of is actually kind of endgame, because it's going to be for Curse City hard, and that's Miss Rider Daithi. Now, why is Miss Rider Daithi so good? He has a really good decreased defense. He has a really good kit all around. Not only does he have the decreased defense, but he's also a super good damage dealer just in general for Curse City. Like, he hits extremely hard, and he has tons of extra turns in his kit, so he can just get turn after turn after turn and kill enemy after enemy after enemy. It's absolutely crazy. He can hard carry you in some Curse City stages, and there are even some stages where it's worth having two of because he is that good. I'm actually working on building my second one myself because I find him to be valuable on my account. The next epic on our list is going to be an old one, but he's extremely powerful. It's going to be Royal Guard. Now, why Royal Guard? Well, it's going to be like Spider, normal, or hard speed teams because he has this crazy enemy max HP hit on his A2. This hits insanely hard. It's even better in Spider hard mode because not only do you smack the boss extremely hard, but if you kill the Spiderlings through like a Hex debuff or something, you're going to spread tons of damage, and killing the Spiderlings actually damages the boss even more. So it's not uncommon to see like a Spider hard speed team with 2 Royal Guards in it because he's that good. The next epic on our list, we are going back to the Ogun tribes, is the one, the only Maneater. Now, why Maneater? I probably don't have to tell you if you've been playing Raid for quite a while, but double Maneater, meaning 2 Maneaters, is probably one of the most popular and easiest to build clan boss teams that there is out there. There are so many players in this game that get through clan boss because of running 2 Maneaters, because you just have them spam this A3 the entire time, unkillable, block debuffs. You just need to make sure that you speed tune it so they're applying this at the right time, and you can be unkillable the entire clan boss fight up until turn 50 when he starts ignoring the unkillable. So yeah, double Maneater, extremely popular. In fact, let's go take a look at my clan and see if anybody's using this team. Yeah, and if we take a look at my clan, you can see right away on the very first page, we've got someone using double Maneater, our clan leader. So you love to see it. It's still valuable even to this day, even though Maneater is such an old epic, still can enable clan boss for you if you have 2 of them. And maybe you have a clan boss team with legendaries or like Wixwell. Well, if you have 2 Maneaters, you could consider building them to replace your current clan boss team and freeing up those legendary champions for other more valuable pieces of content. Like, for example, Wixwell. I like to use my Wixwell on Hydra. So if you're running a Wixwell team, you could consider building a double Maneater team to free up your Wixwell for Hydra because he's such a good champion in that game mode. The next champion on our list is going to be Emic Trunkheart. Now, why is Emic Trunkheart so good and worth building 2 of? Well, it's his A2 that's a little bit better than Painkeeper's. You get a nice 1-turn cooldown reduction on a 3-turn cooldown. So if you have 2 of them, you can get 2 turns of cooldown reduction on a 3-turn cooldown for each of them. And they can also decrease each other's cooldowns as well, bringing this down to a 2-turn cooldown. And then as well, they can put your entire team under unkillable for an entire fight just by themselves, as long as they're speed tuned correctly. Now, I actually use my 2 Emics in the Sand Devil and the Iron Twins. The reason is, in Sand Devil, they're going to be spamming cooldown reduction the whole time. That way my Nut can get tons of damage off and my Cardial can keep Revive on Death on us. And then also I use both of my Emics in the Iron Twins. They're going to be spamming this cooldown reduction as well as spamming unkillable. That way my team doesn't die. So double Emics, extremely underrated in my opinion. Definitely worth having 2 of these guys. You could also build a clan boss team with these guys using their unkillable as well. The next champion on our list, you can see I've got 2 of them right here, is going to be the one, the only Armanz. Now, why would you build multiple Armanz? Well, let me tell you, all right? This A2 is one of the most powerful A2s in the game, making him one of the best arena champions in this game. So you're going to want 2 for these specific game modes. First of all, Clan Siege. You can only use each champion in Clan Siege twice, but if you have 2 Armanz, you can use 1 Armanz twice, and then you can use the other Armanz twice, giving you 4 uses of Armanz. So having multiple copies of Armanz is extremely useful in Clan Siege, as well as almost any of these arena game modes on the screen right now. It is worth having multiple Armanz. Tag Team Arena, I think it goes without saying. You could see actually I use double Armanz in my Tag Team Arena. I've got 1 Armanz in my first team and 1 Armanz in my third team because he is just that good. As well as if you aren't in Gold Live Arena, if you're only in Silver and below, you can actually use 2 Armanz in the same battle. I actually have a video of that on my channel, one of my most popular videos. And then Classic Arena, if you don't have any better options, running 2 Armanz in the same team could just make it so that if you go first, the enemy never takes a turn and you get a lot of easy wins. Not to mention that Armanz just wrecks any dungeon wave, any wave in the game in general, like Doom Tower. Armanz just destroys it, so you could definitely run double Armanz in your Doom Tower team if you need a team that just stops the waves from doing anything so you can progress through the basic floors. The next champion on our list is going to be the #1 Hydra damage dealer in the game. You guys probably already know who I'm talking about just based off me saying that, but it is the one, the only Trunda. Now, why would you build multiple copies of Trunda? She smacks the Hydra like nobody else's business. Nobody else even comes close to the amount of damage she does in Hydra. You could have a Hydra team that runs multiple Trundas. You could have 1 Trunda on one team, you could have 1 Trunda on the other team, and then another Trunda on this team. Literally, in my opinion, there's like not a limit to the amount of Trundas you can build for Hydra. She's that good. I have 1 Hydra team that uses 2 of her, and if I had 2 more, I'd probably build a second Hydra team that uses 2 Trundas, making me have 4 in total. She is that good. Her kit just does bonkers damage in the Hydra, so 100% worth building multiple copies of just for that area of the game. The next champion on our list is going to be an oldie but a goodie. It's going to be Prince Kymar, someone I wish I had. I've seen people build 3 or 4 copies of this guy, and it's mainly for this reset the cooldown of all ally skills. This ability is so powerful. I've seen people have one for Dragon, one for Ice Golem, one for Arena, one for Fire Knight, one for Doom Tower, specifically speed tune for those teams. Just because that full reset is that powerful, you can literally not have too many Kymars, as well as he is extremely good in Arena as well, because of this strip and sleep, as well as his Arena aura. The next champion on our list is going to be Yumeko. She has a cooldown reset of 3 turns, so not a full reset like Kymar's, but most endgame champions only have a 3 or a 4 turn cooldown, so this is perfect. As well as she has a little lockout or a pushback of the enemy skills by 3 turns, making her really good in the arena, kind of like Warlord, but not as good. So you're gonna see multiple copies of her kind of in the same places you'd see Kymar. Again, those dungeon speed teams, those Doom Tower floor speed teams, but you also could see multiple Yumekos in the Hydra team. There are a lot of Hydra teams that use double Yumeko just to get back to the most valuable skills on their other champions. So she is worth having multiple copies of just for Hydra. But if you are going to build multiple copies of her for Hydra, usually they're on the same team, not on separate teams. So that is worth mentioning. But definitely, if you have Yumeko, do not empower her. I would definitely save the extra copy because she is that valuable on your account. The next champion on our list is going to be in the Bannerlords. It is going to be the one, the only Staltus Dragonbane. Now, why Staltus? Well, it's going to be all in this passive. This passive reflex poisons back onto the attacker, which is so strong for places like Hard Dragon. A lot of the extremely fast Hard Dragon teams will run 2 Staltuses. That way you're just reflecting tons of poisons back onto that dragon boss, and basically the boss just ends up killing itself. Usually you'll have like a regeneration set on the Staltus. That way the Staltus can keep healing and just stay alive while it's reflecting poisons. You don't typically build your Staltus with damage for the dragon boss just because the poisons do all the damage. So regeneration set is totally fine for that fight. So some of the fastest Hard Dragon 10 teams are using double Staltus. So if a team like that interests you, definitely don't empower this guy. Save that extra copy, build him for Dragon, and just destroy that boss extremely easily. The next champion on our list is Gnishak. He's an extremely good damage dealer for Amius because those bombs explode and land those irremovable poisons, and those poisons just do so much damage to Amius. But the problem is the same build you'd use for Amius isn't the same build you'd use in PvP. So I think having multiple Gnishaks is valuable. So you could have one Gnishak specifically built for Amius that's built really tanky and is just focused on doing damage through those poisons and surviving. And then you could have another Gnishak that's built in like Stone Skin and Pinpoint for Arena, because Gnishak is one of the best bombers in PvP. So in my opinion, you have one Gnishak for Amius, one for PvP. That's what I would do if I had a second one. I really wish I had a second one because this guy is so good. I would love to have one for PvP, but I just can't bring myself to destroy his Amius build right now. So having 2 Gnishaks would be a dream come true for me. The next one on our list is going to be a Lizardman, one that I wish I had. It is going to be Nekmo Thar. Now, why Nekmo Thar? He is just simply one of the best supports for Hydra and Chimera. So not only could you have multiple Nekmo Thars for Hydra, one on this team, one on that team, maybe even one on your third team, but you also could have a Nekmo built for the Chimera because he is so good there. And really what he's doing is just bringing really good debuffs, like decreased attack and leech, as well as decreased speed, and then increased speed on your team. So he just creates this massive speed difference between you and the bosses that you're fighting. He makes them so much slower and you so much faster. He also makes you heal when you attack them, and he makes it so they do less damage when he lands that decreased attack. So overall, just an extremely good champion for both of those clan bosses. And the last champion on our list, probably the most deserving to build multiple copies of. Do not empower this guy unless you have like freaking 7 or 8 of them. It's crazy. He's that good. It is going to be Gnut. Gnut is insane. He is in the speedrun team for almost every dungeon in the game simply because of this A3. 30% of a boss's total HP with this hit, meaning that if you bring 2 of them, you're going to do 60% of the boss's total health. And then you bring a reset champion like Kymar, boom, you reset your Gnut. They both go again. The boss is dead because at that point you've done 120% of the boss's HP, which means they're dead because they only have 100% HP. But like any dungeon boss, you can find a team on YouTube where double Gnut is destroying them in like 15 seconds. All of the event dungeons like the Odin dungeon and the Queen of Hearts dungeon also get speed ran by double Gnut because he is just that good. This guy speed runs so many dungeons. He is like literally the best enemy max HP damage dealer in the game. And really, enemy max HP is one of the best ways to do damage to bosses when you're in the end game. So this guy just completely melts any dungeon boss in the game. It's not even close. As well as having double Gnut makes one of the hardest dungeons in the game extremely easy to do. And that is Fire Knight Hard 10. Double Gnut just completely mops the floor with Fire Knight Hard 10 because of this A1 putting so many freezes on the boss, and because of this A2 just completely destroying the boss's HP bar. So that's going to do it for the video. If you have any of the champions that we talked about on today's list, please consider not empowering them and just save that extra copy. Even if you're not at the point where building the second copy makes sense right now, you will get there eventually. All of the champions on this list are just so powerful. Make sure that you consider building that second copy before you just empower them, especially those legendaries. You might never pull a another Gnut again, or you might never pull another Yumeko again because they are that hard to pull. So really take your time and think about if empowering is the move for you. In my opinion, just build that second copy. It's going to be way more useful. But I've been Grinch KD. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.